The Galactic Empire was bustling with excitement. The grand palace of Emperor Zorath stood tall, its shimmering towers reaching for the stars. Today was a special day. The Emperor was throwing a lavish celebration to show off his power and control over the galaxy. Everyone was invited, nobles, warriors, and dignitaries from across the cosmos. They all gathered in the vast hall, adorned with sparkling lights and colorful banners that swayed gently in the breeze. As the guests mingled, laughter and chatter filled the air. Many people talked about how great the Emperor was, boasting about his strength and the might of the Empire. The nobles wore their finest clothes, and the soldiers displayed their shining armor. Everyone was eager to please the Emperor, hoping to gain favor and riches. Emperor Zorath, a tall figure with an imposing presence, sat on his golden throne, wearing an ornate robe that glittered like stars. His face was stern, but he smiled as he looked out over the crowd. He believed today would solidify his reign and show the galaxy that the Empire was unbeatable. Suddenly, the doors of the grand hall burst open. The crowd turned in surprise as a group of strangers entered. They were humans, led by a woman named Captain Maria. Dressed simply, the humans looked confident and unafraid, even in the face of the Emperor's might. As they stepped forward, the guests whispered among themselves. Who were these newcomers? How dare they interrupt the celebration? Captain Maria, with her dark hair tied back and a determined look in her eyes, addressed the Emperor directly. "We come in peace, Emperor Zorath," she said boldly. "We want to establish a relationship with your empire. We seek friendship and understanding." Laughter erupted from the nobles. They could not believe what they were hearing. Friendship? With them? One noble shouted, pointing at the humans. How ridiculous! Emperor Zorath's eyes narrowed. He was not pleased. "You dare to enter my palace and speak of friendship?" he replied, his voice booming. "You are nothing but weak creatures from a forgotten planet." The crowd cheered for their emperor, but Captain Maria stood her ground. "We may be from a small planet, but we are strong in spirit. We are here to show you that humans can be your allies, not your enemies." The Emperor's laughter echoed through the hall. "Allies? You think you can stand against the might of the Galactic Empire? We have advanced technology and powerful armies. You will be crushed!" But the humans were undeterred. "We don't need advanced weapons to prove our worth," Captain Maria replied. "We come with our courage and determination. Give us a chance to show you what we can do." At that moment, a few members of the crowd began to murmur in agreement. They were intrigued by the humans' bravery. Could these simple creatures really challenge the Empire? The nobles looked at each other, unsure of what to think. Emperor Zorath felt a flicker of anger but also curiosity. "If you wish to prove yourselves, then I challenge you," he declared. "Let's see if you can compete with my finest warriors. If you win, I will consider your request. If you lose, you will leave and never speak of this again." The crowd went silent. Captain Maria smiled confidently. "We accept your challenge, Emperor. We will not back down." The Emperor nodded, feeling a surge of excitement. He thought he had trapped the humans in a game they could not win. "Prepare for the games tomorrow. Show me what you have." As the crowd began to cheer once again, Captain Maria exchanged glances with her team. They knew they faced a tough battle ahead, but they were ready. This was their chance to show the galaxy who humans truly were. The Emperor might underestimate them, but they were determined to turn the tides and prove their strength. Little did they know, this encounter would change the fate of both the Galactic Empire and humanity forever. The sun rose over the Galactic Empire's grand palace, casting golden rays across the colorful banners fluttering in the breeze. Today was the day of the games, and excitement filled the air. Guests from all over the galaxy gathered in the massive arena, buzzing with anticipation. Emperor Zorath, seated on his throne, wore a smug smile, confident that his warriors would easily defeat the humans. As Captain Maria and her team arrived, they looked around in awe. The arena was enormous, filled with spectators from different planets. Creatures of all shapes and sizes cheered for their emperor, waving flags and banners. Maria felt a mix of nerves and determination. This was their chance to show the Empire their true strength. "Stay focused," Maria told her team. "We are here to prove ourselves. No matter what happens, we fight together." The first event was a strength competition. Zorath's best warrior, a massive alien named Gromak, stepped forward. He was built like a tank, with muscles rippling under his tough skin. The crowd roared as Gromak lifted a heavy stone above his head with ease. Maria's heart raced. It was their turn now. One of her teammates, Jake, stepped up. He was smaller than Gromac, but had a fierce spirit. With a deep breath, he lifted the stone, struggling at first. The crowd fell silent, watching him closely. But with sheer determination, he hoisted it above his head, surprising everyone. The crowd erupted into cheers. Gromac looked stunned, while the Emperor's expression darkened. "This is just the beginning," he muttered under his breath. Next came the agility challenge. The contestants had to navigate through a series of difficult obstacles designed to test speed and coordination. The Emperor chose his swiftest fighter, a sleek alien named Ziri. She darted through the course with incredible speed, flipping and jumping as she went. When it was Maria's turn, she felt the weight of expectation on her shoulders. She took a deep breath, focused on the course, and took off. She moved swiftly, using her skills and training to navigate the obstacles. The crowd was shocked as she flew past Ziri, crossing the finish line just a heartbeat ahead. The arena erupted in applause, and Maria couldn't help but smile. The humans were gaining respect, and even some of the Empire's soldiers began to cheer for them. Zorath clenched his jaw, his face a mix of anger and disbelief. As the games continued, the next event was a test of strategy and teamwork. Both teams had to build a small fort while under pressure. The Emperor's warriors were well-trained, working together flawlessly. But Maria's team had an advantage. They knew how to think outside the box. While the Empire built a solid fort, Maria and her team quickly gathered materials from around the arena. They created a unique design that combined speed with strength. As the timer ticked down, the humans finished just in time, and the crowd roared in approval. Zorath was furious. "This cannot be! They are mere humans!" he shouted. But the cheers for Captain Maria and her team only grew louder. They were winning not just the games, but also the hearts of the crowd. The final event was a combat match, where one-on-one battles would determine the overall winner. The Emperor's pride was at stake, and he sent his fiercest warrior, Gromac, back into the ring. Maria knew they needed a strong fighter to face him. She looked at Jake, who nodded back, determination shining in his eyes. As the two warriors faced off, the tension in the arena reached a boiling point. Gromac charged, but Jake sidestepped with agility, countering with a swift punch. The crowd was on edge, shouting and cheering for their favorites. Jake fought bravely, using every tactic he learned. With each move, the humans showed their heart and skill. Gromac was strong, but Jake's strategy and speed began to wear him down. Just when it seemed like Gromac would win, Jake found an opening and delivered a powerful blow, knocking the giant down. The arena exploded with applause, and the Emperor's face turned pale. He could hardly believe what he was witnessing. The humans were not just competing, they were winning. As the games came to a close, the humans stood proud. They had proven their strength and skill against the might of the Galactic Empire. The crowd roared their approval, and whispers of respect began to spread. Captain Maria knew they had taken the first big step in changing the Empire's view of humanity. Little did they know, the real battle for respect had only just begun. The sun dipped low in the sky as the day of the final challenge approached. The arena was filled with energy, and the excitement was palpable. Emperor Zorath sat on his throne, his face a mix of anger and determination. He could not believe that humans had come so far. They had defeated his best warriors, and now he was ready to show them who was truly in charge. The crowd gathered, eager to witness the last battle. Zorath stood and raised his hand to silence the noise. "Today, we will see who is the strongest," he boomed, his voice echoing through the arena. "In this final challenge, one human will fight my greatest warrior, Gromac, in a battle to the finish." Captain Maria felt her heart race. This was a pivotal moment for humanity. She looked at her team and saw the worry on their faces. They had fought bravely, but this challenge would be different. Gromac was massive and powerful, and the stakes were high. If they lost, the humans would leave the Empire forever, with their heads hung low. "Who will fight?" Maria asked, looking around. The team was silent, unsure. Finally, Jake stepped forward. "I will fight," he said, his voice steady. "I won the last match against him, and I can do it again." The team exchanged nervous glances, but Maria knew Jake was brave. "Are you sure?" she asked, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Gromac is not an easy opponent. I have to do this," Jake replied. "For all of us. We need to show the Empire we are strong." As the two warriors entered the arena, the crowd erupted into cheers. Gromac towered over Jake, a mountain of muscle and fury. The Emperor watched with a cruel smile, believing victory was finally in his grasp. "Prepare to witness the true power of the Galactic Empire," he shouted. The bell rang, signaling the start of the fight. Gromac charged at Jake with a roar, his fists ready to strike. Jake quickly dodged, using his agility to avoid the brute force of the giant. The crowd gasped, watching in awe as the human danced around Gromac, staying just out of reach. Jake knew he had to wear Gromac down. He landed quick jabs whenever he could, striking the warrior's side and legs. Gromac retaliated with powerful swings, but Jake was nimble. He ducked and weaved, using his speed to stay ahead. With every hit, the crowd began to cheer for Jake. They were amazed at how the small human could stand up to the giant warrior. Captain Maria shouted from the sidelines, "Keep going, Jake! You can do this!" Gromac, furious and embarrassed, grew more reckless. He lunged at Jake with all his strength, but Jake had learned from his earlier matches. He waited for the right moment and sidestepped, causing Gromac to stumble forward. The giant lost his balance and crashed into the ground, shaking the arena. The crowd roared, excitement filling the air. Zorath's face turned a deep shade of red, anger boiling inside him. He could not believe his warrior was being outsmarted by a human. "Get up, Gromac," he shouted. "You are the best! Show them your strength." Gromac rose slowly, his eyes filled with rage. He charged again, but this time he was more cautious. The two warriors exchanged blows, each one landing with a thud. Jake fought hard, but he could feel his energy waning. He needed to end this fight quickly. Suddenly, Jake spotted an opening. Gromac was tired, and his attacks were slowing. In a moment of inspiration, Jake remembered the tactics he had used in training. He feigned a punch to Gromac's left and quickly moved to the right. As Gromac reacted, Jake kicked out his legs, sending the giant crashing down again. The crowd erupted in cheers, shouting Jake's name. Captain Maria felt hope swell in her chest. "You can do it!" she screamed, rallying their support. Gromac struggled to get back up, but Jake knew he had to finish the fight. With a final surge of energy, Jake climbed onto Gromac's back, holding onto the giant's shoulders. Using all his strength, he locked Gromac in a hold. The crowd was on their feet, watching in disbelief as Jake tightened his grip. Gromac roared in frustration, trying to shake him off, but Jake held firm. "Submit!" Jake shouted over the noise. "Submit and let us prove we can work together." Finally, Gromac's strength faded. With a last groan, he tapped the ground, signaling his defeat. The arena fell silent. Then, as the realization set in, the crowd erupted into wild cheers. They had witnessed the impossible. A human had defeated one of the Empire's greatest warriors. Emperor Zorath stood in shock, his face twisted with anger and disbelief. The humans had humiliated him in front of his entire empire. Jake released Gromac and stepped back, his heart racing as he took in the crowd's cheers. He had done it. They had done it. This moment would change everything. The humans had proven their strength, and they were no longer seen as weak. They had earned respect, not just from the crowd, but from the Empire itself. Captain Maria smiled proudly at Jake, knowing they had taken a giant leap forward in their quest for peace and understanding. But they all sensed that the real test was just beginning. The cheers of the crowd echoed in Jake's ears as he stepped back from Gromac, feeling the thrill of victory course through him. The arena was alive with excitement, and the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. No longer were the humans seen as mere guests. They were now formidable opponents. Captain Maria and her team felt a wave of hope wash over them. They had turned the tables, but the real challenge was still ahead. Emperor Zorath was furious. He stood, fists clenched, as he tried to regain control of the situation. His pride had been shattered in front of the galaxy, and he couldn't allow the humans to continue to humiliate him. "This is not over," he shouted, glaring at Jake and the other humans. "We will not let you win so easily." As the Emperor spoke, the crowd's cheers faded, replaced by an uneasy silence. They could sense the tension in the air. Maria felt a chill run down her spine. Zorath was plotting something. She gathered her team and whispered, "We need to be careful. I think he's going to make a move against us." The Emperor raised his hand, calling for order. "To restore honor to the Galactic Empire, I will issue a new challenge," he declared. "A test of strategy and cunning that will require both strength and intelligence. You will face my elite team of warriors in a series of tactical battles. If you lose, you will leave the Empire forever. The crowd buzzed with excitement at the Emperor's challenge. Jake and Maria exchanged worried glances. They had fought hard to get this far, but now they would face even greater dangers. The stakes had been raised, and they knew they needed to work together. "Let's think this through," Maria said. "We have to come up with a plan. We need to outsmart them, just like we did before." The team huddled together, brainstorming ideas. The first battle of the new challenge was set for the following day. As the sun rose, the arena was once again filled with spectators eager to see the next round of competition. Zorath's elite warriors were powerful, each one trained for years to be the best. The humans knew they had to think differently to win. As the battle began, Zorath's warriors charged forward with brute force, but Maria's team was ready. They had set traps and created diversions to confuse their opponents. Jake led the charge, using his speed to dart between enemies, drawing their attention away from his teammates. "Now!" Maria shouted. With precise timing, her team executed their plan. They used their surroundings to their advantage, knocking down pillars that created obstacles for the enemy. The crowd watched in awe as the humans used their intelligence to gain the upper hand. Zorath was furious. "This is not how it should be," he roared. "They are supposed to be weak." But as the humans continued to outmaneuver his warriors, the crowd began to cheer for them louder than ever. With each passing round, Maria's team proved their worth. They combined strategy with teamwork, moving like a well-oiled machine. They fought hard, taking down several of Zorath's warriors, who were used to winning through sheer power. The humans had turned the tables completely. The final battle of the day would be a test of endurance and willpower. Zorath called for a one-on-one match between Jake and his best warrior, Varnak, a hulking brute with a reputation for being unbeatable. Jake felt the weight of the challenge on his shoulders, but he was determined to face Varnak head-on. As they stepped into the arena, the tension was palpable. The crowd was split, with half cheering for Jake and the other half for Varnak. Zorath stood at the edge, sneering as he watched, convinced his warrior would crush the human. The fight began, and Varnak charged at Jake, roaring like a beast. Jake knew he had to stay focused. He remembered Maria's words, "Use your speed and think fast." He ducked and weaved, dodging Varnak's powerful punches. With every dodge, the crowd gasped, impressed by Jake's agility. Jake saw an opening and landed a quick jab to Varnak's side. The giant stumbled back, surprised. Encouraged by the crowd's cheers, Jake continued to strike. He knew he had to tire Varnak out, just like he had done with Gromok. He danced around the brute, landing punches and avoiding the heavy blows. As the fight continued, Jake noticed Varnak's movements slowing. The giant was starting to tire, and the crowd began to sense the shift. With one final push, Jake summoned all his strength. He feigned left, causing Varnak to swing wildly, and then he quickly moved to the right, delivering a powerful uppercut. The crowd erupted into applause as Varnak fell to the ground, defeated. The shock on Zorath's face was priceless. For the first time, the Emperor realized that the humans were not just a passing annoyance, they were a force to be reckoned with. The cheers for Jake grew louder, and Maria felt tears of joy welling in her eyes. They had turned the tables on the Galactic Empire. The humans had shown their strength, courage, and intelligence. They had earned the respect of the crowd and the Empire. But Maria knew this was just the beginning of their journey. They still had to navigate the political landscape of the Empire, and Zorath would not let this defeat go unanswered. The real battle was far from over. The arena was filled with cheers and applause as Jake stood victorious over Varnak. The crowd was in a frenzy, celebrating the unexpected triumph of the humans over the formidable warriors of the Galactic Empire. Maria and her team rushed into the arena, surrounding Jake and lifting him high in the air. They had done the impossible. They had shown that humans were not to be underestimated. Emperor Zorath, however, was seething with anger. His pride had been shattered, and he could hardly contain his rage. "This is not the end!" he shouted, trying to regain control over the crowd. "You will all pay for this humiliation. The Galactic Empire will not allow these weaklings to walk away unpunished." But the crowd was no longer on his side. They had witnessed the strength and skill of the humans, and many began to chant for peace. "Humans! Humans! Humans!" echoed throughout the arena. Maria felt a rush of pride as she looked around at the faces of the spectators. They were finally beginning to see humans as equals, not as weak beings to be conquered. Jake, still basking in his victory, turned to Maria. "What do we do now?" he asked, excitement and uncertainty in his eyes. "We've shown them we can win, but what does it mean for us?" Maria thought for a moment. "This victory opens doors for us. We need to push for a chance to negotiate peace. Zorath may be angry, but we can use this moment to our advantage." She looked toward the Emperor, who was pacing angrily at his throne. "We have to talk to him. We need to offer a way forward." As Maria stepped forward, the crowd's energy shifted. They were eager to see what the humans would propose. Zorath glared at her, but held his tongue as she approached. "Emperor Zorath," she began, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "We have proven our strength today. We do not wish for further conflict. Instead, we want to discuss a new beginning between our peoples." Zorath sneered, still unwilling to show weakness. "Why would I want to negotiate with you? You have embarrassed me in front of my empire." "Because the people want peace," Maria replied, her voice unwavering. "You can either continue this fight and risk losing more, or you can join us in creating a future where both our worlds can thrive together. Your people have seen that we are not weak. Let's build a new alliance based on respect and understanding." The arena was silent as everyone listened to Maria's words. Zorath's anger flickered, replaced by the realization that continuing the fight might not be wise. He glanced around at the crowd, who were now looking at him with hopeful eyes. Their chants of humans rang in his ears, and he knew that things had changed. "Very well," Zorath said, his tone begrudgingly respectful. "I will consider your proposal, but do not think I have forgotten this day. I will hold you to your word." He paused, taking a breath to calm himself. "Let us meet to discuss the terms of this new alliance." Maria smiled, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you, Emperor. We will work hard to make this partnership beneficial for both our peoples." As the crowd erupted in applause again, Maria and her team returned to Jake's side. They were filled with hope for the future. This victory had not only changed the way the Galactic Empire viewed them, but it also opened the door for peace. Over the next few weeks, Maria and Jake met with Zorath and his advisors. They discussed trade, shared technology, and began to learn from one another. The humans brought new ideas, and the Empire offered knowledge of the stars. Slowly but surely, a new relationship formed between the two worlds. As time passed, tensions eased. The citizens of the Galactic Empire began to interact with humans, sharing stories, food, and culture. They realized they had more in common than they had thought. Jake and Maria watched as friendships blossomed between their people, and they couldn't help but feel proud of what they had achieved. One day, as Jake and Maria walked through the bustling market of the Imperial City, they saw a young alien child offering handmade toys to a human boy. They laughed together, bridging the gap between their worlds in a way that had once seemed impossible. "This is what we fought for," Maria said, her heart swelling with pride. "A future where our children can play together without fear." Jake nodded, looking around at the bright, hopeful faces. "It's a new beginning for both of us." Together, they had turned the tables on an empire that had once sought to dominate them. Now they were building a new future, one where both humans and the Galactic Empire could thrive in harmony. The battles they had fought had not only changed their fate, but had also laid the groundwork for a united galaxy. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the city, Jake and Maria shared a smile. They had faced incredible challenges and emerged victorious, but this was just the beginning of their journey. Together, they would continue to explore the vastness of the galaxy, forging bonds that would last for generations to come.